Well, I mean, we've seen her go through a very specific transition into being able to heal from some wounds of her past. So, you know, that's happened, and that's who she is now. She's someone who's started to metabolize her wounds and open up her heart. And I guess that's where she is right now, and we'll see where it leads from there. But she's definitely gotten through some of the things that we saw her struggling with in the beginning of her journey on the show. Yeah, I mean, I think that there have been many moments, though, even beyond that moment, where we got to see her story, not her story, but her character be a little bit more open, even with how she was relating with Daryl, how she's been relating with Carl since season 3, how she was even being able to express some healing towards people like Tyrese, wherein he was acting crazy and she was able to calm him down. So there have been a lot of moments, I think, beyond just that one moment where she was obviously not just the one way with killing zombies. It was fun because the difference was we were stepping into a whole nother time period where she was free and she's in her dream, so she's actually in a place of great joy and ease and peace for a moment, and that was really fun to actually get to dress up and do all that stuff. That we had a lot of fun. Every department had a lot of fun putting that scene together, I think. I think it was a gradual process. I think from when, you know, I honestly think if we were to start really tracking it, it started very slowly in episode 8 of season 3. And it was a moment where she felt she had lost Andrea, because Andrea basically chooses the governor over her. And she does that whole fight with the governor. And that was the height of her really being a very, you know, vengeful and vigilant person. I think she's a lot stronger and quicker than me. Doesn't matter if I'm tired, she's not tired. I knew her, I understood her from the minute I read her on the page. I understood that she was that sort of a girl who's has a tough mask to her, but really has a big heart under it all. And I think I'm somewhat similar to that. I can't actually share the makeup artist's secrets. That wouldn't be fair on them. But there is, you know, we definitely do go through a process. We don't come in looking the way we end up looking. Sometimes, though, it is very hot outside. We can sweat a lot, so sometimes we do smell bad, even, you know, without any help. So yeah, and I love that. I love that the show is that real and that gritty. You know, you can't think about looking good. You just have to think about telling the story. And I kind of like that about the process. You're on TV, but you can't care about what you look like. Yeah, there are different things I might have to do. You know, it depends on where my body is. It depends on what the scene or the episode needs of me. So if I know I have to run a lot in that episode, I might prepare physically by doing a lot of running before we start shooting, just so, and I feel out running with a sword, feel out running with something heavy that I'm using at the same time. So I might prepare my body in little different ways. To me, it's all scary. Everything is scary. It's just, and it's a pressure I put on myself to make sure that I'm doing the best I can. Actually, that last scene in the field, about 15 of those kills we just did in the moment. I was only supposed to do 8, and then the director, who's also Greg Nicotero, who does all the zombie work, he just never called cut, so I just kept going. And so and then we just kept doing it like that, where I just killed all of the zombies. Instead of 8, I killed 23. You got to see some, but I do wonder sometimes how much you need to see. You know what I mean? Because I feel like in real life, you only know so much about each other, you know? Like, I don't know everything even about some of my closest friends. I really respected the writers for this idea, because to me, it was so authentic to what I even had researched about war zones as a playwright, which is that there's so much displacement. People get scattered. You don't know where people are. You can't contact them. You don't know how. You don't know if they're alive or dead. That's very real to wars where systems shut down and people can't connect anymore, and they're just lost. And so I think that that's really a rich component to what's happening right now. The relationship with Carl is great. I think that there's a mutual respect. It's of course, she would definitely protect him if ever he needed it, and has her eye out for that. But at the same time, she really respects that Carl is a young man, and she doesn't condescend to him. She doesn't look at him as a child. She looks at him as a young man who's really navigating this realm very well. Well, we had the conversation about whether or not she was going to have the dreadlocks, and there were two camps. Some people said, let's just have her have Danai's hair, and some people said, no, let's have her have the dreadlocks. And I went and met with Greg Nicotero. We tried on some wigs, and I started to think, you know what, let me see if I can do this with the wig, because you know, there was the idea of, oh my God, every time I shoot this character, I'll have to put that on. But then there was the idea where I wanted it to be like what Mr. Kirkman had thought of when he created her. And I found out that he really was interested in her having the dreadlocks, and I thought, how cool, you know. And of course I'm a writer, so I really want to respect the vision of a writer. That would confuse me, because the comic book has its own thing going on, and it's a very strong story in the comic book, but it's completely different from where my character is in the moment of the TV show. So I would totally confuse myself.